Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you aren't already, make sure you subscribe. Today I will be teaching you how to make this dress. If you're like me and you need something to wear last minute for Valentine's Day, I hope this video helps you. The materials needed for this project is a tape measure, scissors, 2 yards of fabric, elastic, and although not pictured, you will need newspapers to craft your pattern. So today our first measurement will be your upper bust. To get your upper bust, what you need to do is take your tape measure, and put it about right here. So my top is 31 inches. Next measurement you will need is your waistline. And you don't go all the way down to your actual waistline. You need about at your navel. So let's go ahead and get that measurement as well. Okay, and that's about 28.5 inches for me. And again, that varies for everyone. Alright, and then lastly, we will need, not lastly, but for the upper body, we will need our hip line. And your hip line is roughly here to there. Alright, for me that's 36 inches. Now the last measurement you'll need is from hip line to wherever you want your dress to hang. I want mine to hang to the ground a little bit. So to the floor, that will be 33 inches for me from the hip line. That measurement you don't need quite yet. That's just something you need later on down the line. Now that you have your measurements, I am going to show you where to place them on your pattern. If you look to the right of your pattern, you'll notice that there's a double arrow that says unfold. That just indicates when you place this pattern on your fabric, make sure you're cutting on the fold of your fabric. So that should be lined up with the fold, and that's not the part that you cut around. So I went ahead and connected each point so it kind of forms an hourglass shape. Along that line is where you will cut. To be a little more clearer, around that new line that formed the hourglass line, that's where you cut. If you notice, after the hip line, the pattern continues to extend. That is where you will add on the length of your dress. So however long you want it, you just keep it going. After that, you will take your pattern that you just put. Make sure you fold your fabric on the fold, like I suggested. Anyways, after that, we're going to take the pattern you created or the pattern that you're using that was already made. However you want to do it, it's really up to you. It's your preference. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and cut it out. Okay, and so for the 30 inches, since my pattern isn't long enough, the bottom of your dress is supposed to match your hip line, at least for me, because I want my dress to be wide. Then I'm also going to add a split. Since I'm very conservative, what I'm going to do, since I know the bottom of this is matching my hip line, I'm going to flip this over and measure it down 33 inches. Let's just scoop this. Alright, and since I already know what my hip line is, because that was where I left off cutting, I'm just going to go ahead and use my measuring board. We're going to cut the rest that way. Save some time and make it a lot quicker. After you mark where you want the length of your dress to stop at, you can continue to cut. So the last thing to cut is the elastic. This will go on your upper bust. So your upper bust measurement, you will use that to cut this. So my upper bust measurement was 31. So again, we're just going to Okay, so what I did was grab some scrap fabric that was long enough for this. And what you do, take the fabric and you make sure it's enough to turn over it. So I would cut maybe like an inch extra. Let's go ahead and move the dress out of the way. We don't want to cut this on accident. So, take this board. And honestly, there's an easier way to do this. You could just measure this on your, or this is roughly 1 inch. This is roughly 1 inch. So what I'm going to do, I want about 2 inches. I'm just going to fold it, measure it, see if it's about 2 inches. And what's nice about the measuring board is that you can make sure that it's even going all the way down. Okay, so it's about 2 inches going each way. Okay, so we will start sewing the elastic band with the fabric. And with this, you will want to do it right side together, so do not do it inside out. I guess with this fabric, it really doesn't make a difference, but with other fabrics, you will be able to tell, so make sure you do it the right way. So we're going to do right sides together, but just make sure you include the elastic inside. And I did cut it a little big because I'd rather the fabric be too big than too small, because that's an easier fix. Okay. Let's go ahead and sew our seams. What you will end up with, you will still have some loose threads because you do need to sew this down to your gown. So we're going to wait to trim it completely off. We don't need to cut this off yet. Next, you will begin sewing your gown together. Okay, so what I do want to let you know is you need to make sure you have right sides together. And again, with the fabric I'm using, you can't really tell, but this is the side I prefer to have on the outside for me. But right side together. So this is the outside of my dress. I mean, sorry, no, this is the inside of my dress. It's important to back stitch too, so make sure you're getting that done. Okay, so I'm not going to sew my dress completely down because I don't want it closed. I want it a slit. If you do want this dress like completely closed and form-fitting, then sew all the way down. Just make sure you have your seam going all the way down, and then I'll recommend a zigzag stitch. However, since I'm not, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right here for a second, and then I'm going to start preparing for my slit. Once I find the scissors, there we go. And then I didn't back stitch that, so I'm just gonna put it in one more time. Go over it. We don't want the dress falling apart. Alright. And let's begin preparing for my slit. Start on this side first. And basically what you're essentially doing is you're just creating another seam. Let's see. There you go. Create about a 5/8 seam and you'll be good to go. So I'm gonna start my seam. And then we're gonna get that started. Make sure it's 5/8. On my board, it measures it for me, so I can just line it up to see. Be sure to repeat the step that you did for the first side of the slit on the second side as well. Alright, now you want to grab that top band that you made for your upper bust and sew it together, both sides together. And I am going to switch my sewing machine to the zigzag for the sake of this. And while you're going, make sure you clean up your fabric as you go, so you don't have to do too much at the end. I'm gonna cut this off because we don't need it. It's gonna be like a loop now. You see that? You're gonna match this up with the seam of your fabric. I want you guys to see this. Match these seams up. Turn this inside out. Turn this inside out. Sew it to the right side of your fabric. So you want it like that. Make sure you sew it to the right side of the fabric. The last step that involves sewing is to hem the bottom of your dress. I like to fold mine about a half a inch over.